Namo Didafa. Good morning. Thank you for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The second mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I vow to cultivate loving kindness and learn ways to work for the well-being of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I will practice generosity by sharing my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in real need. I am determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. I will respect the property of others, but I will prevent others from profiting from human suffering or the suffering of other species on earth. For our Dharma readings, we're taking selections from a book by the nuns of Amaravati called The Body, Dhamma Reflections on Aging, Illness, and Death. And we're in a Dhamma talk by Ajahn Candasiri called Growing Old Gracefully. Cultivating patience. This leads to the second thing that came to mind when I was speaking to that lady. It was the importance of cultivating not only the habit of presence, but also kindness, patience, appreciation, contentment, and forgiveness. These are qualities that I have found helpful throughout my monastic life and training. I suspect that if I can keep perfecting them, then, when I am a really old lady, not just elderly as I am now, they will be a most valuable resource. It is good to begin to cultivate these qualities while we are still young, because as we get older, we tend to become more fixed in our ways. Our ingrained habits become more intractable, less easy to work with. So it's important, first of all, to recognize those habitual tendencies. Some of us who had the opportunity to look after Sister Upala found that experience very helpful. She lived in our community for about 7 or 8 years until she died at the age of 90. Whenever I was around her, I got an idea of just how patient one must be as one gets older, because everything becomes more difficult and time-consuming. She couldn't see or hear so well, couldn't move around so easily. Life became more and more difficult for her, so she was dependent on many people helping her. She certainly tested our patience, but you could also see the extent to which her situation required great patience from her side, too, because we couldn't always understand what was needed, didn't always arrive on time, didn't always get things right. It's hard to have to rely on other people who may not always get things right, so I'm suggesting that we make cultivating patience a priority. Winter is a good time for cultivating patience. It takes effort just to get dressed warmly enough to move about from building to building in our monasteries. One time at Chithurst, I counted. I needed something like 20 garments to go out and do walking meditation. 2 pairs of socks, long johns, 2 hats, 2 pairs of gloves, a pullover, scarves, a number of other bits and pieces, just to keep warm. After you've put them all on, you might realize you've forgotten something, so you have to unlace your boots and go back into your kuti. All that gives a chance to cultivate patience, a willingness to be present with the different things we need to attend to. It's a very useful reflection as a counterbalance to restlessness and agitation. May all beings be well, may all beings be happy, may all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this morning.